Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Thursday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Thursday. Welcome. Friday Junior, as I like to call it. Derry Bennett, welcome. Day of the Dead, indeed. Heat, how's it going? Michael Hassler, how's it going? Welcome, everybody. All right, let me make sure. Someone stole my username. How's it going? Welcome. Alio with the 12 biddies. Sharpie Diesel with the tier 1 sub. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. 10 months. Thank you. Yes, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the stream, yada, yada, yada. I need to get more bits after payday. No worries. Thank you. I appreciate any support. I appreciate you just being here. All right, folks, we do have a few things to go through. All right, folks. Yeah, we need to get this started. It is going to be about a shorter stream than usual because I am very tired. But there is news to cover, so let's do it. I feel that, yeah, it's been a week, okay? I'm tired. It's been a week. It's been a week, and I intend to give myself a extended weekend. We'll see how that plays out.
Late last week, a group of Republicans from the New York delegation in the House of Representatives put forward a motion to expel Republican Representative George Santos from Congress. Now, that
good luck. Yep, thank you. We'll see how that goes.
Motion, I guess, was supposed to be voted on this week, but so far that has not happened. Instead, what happened was on Tuesday, the House Ethics Committee, again led by Republicans, put out a statement announcing that they have what Raw Stories referred to as a mountain of evidence against George Santos. The Republican-controlled House Ethics Committee says, oh boy, do we have something here for you. Let me read you this from their announcement on Tuesday. The committee has contacted approximately 40 witnesses, reviewed more than 170,000 pages of documents, and authorized 37 subpoenas. The committee's nonpartisan staff and the investigative subcommittee members have put countless hours into this investigation, which has been a priority for the investigative team and involved a significant amount of the committee's resources. So basically what the committee is saying here is that, listen, we talked to a lot of people. We subpoenaed a lot of people. There's, close to 200,000 documents that we've gone through, and we're going to make an announcement on November 6th. So we've got a few days. It's not going to happen till early next week, but this committee is ready to move forward with the results of their investigation. Now, what those results are going to be is anybody's guess, right? I mean, we don't know. It's not like George Santos hasn't already been hit with how many is it? 13, 23, so 36 charges and the indictments against him, including the superseding indictment. Yeah, I'm willing to bet the committee has some pretty interesting stuff they're going to share with the world. So the question is, when do they move forward with the motion to expel? Is the committee going to recommend?
Sorry. Sorry about that. Hey, Carpet Packs, how's it going? What's Farron up to now? Just going over the George Santos scandal, which we'll go over the conclusion of this this saga, this clown show, this circus. Maybe I'm mistaken, but Santos should be suspended with base or little pay, but the GOP, with committees especially blaming Biden and Dems, well, no, George Santos should be removed from Congress, period. George Santos should be removed from Congress. Period. But we'll get into that.
And that they have hearings where they talk to George Santos himself, they put it out there in the public, and they, try to shame him into resigning. Because if that is their goal, that's not a smart goal. I know the Republicans don't want to get mixed up in this motion to expel. They've only got a 10-seat advantage, which means whenever you get 5 Republicans who don't side with you, you can't move forward on things. So losing one of those 10 means now if you lose 5, hell, get 5 to agree with Democrats on something, the Democrats could push their agenda. A one-person difference in the current makeup of the House of Representatives is a big deal. They don't want to lose that one person. They would rather, of course, have that one person make the choice to leave. So I think what we're going to see moving forward here, and again, we're going to find out next week, so a few days I'll know if I'm right or wrong. I think Republicans are going to try to pressure Santos to resign so that they don't have to look like the bad guys. They don't have to worry about making any Republicans mad, because there are some Republicans who like George Santos. They want him to be the one to make that decision. He ain't going to make it. He's made that clear. This idiot already filed to run for re-election, and he says he plans on running for re-election. He doesn't want to go anywhere. He knows there is nothing for him outside of the halls of Congress except possibly a jail cell. So he is not going to willingly leave. If they want George Santos out, they're the ones that are going to have to make that happen by moving forward on that motion to expel. Ring of Fire has fresh content.
So, yeah, that kind of sets the stage up for the first article, Republicans blaming Republicans. This Congress does not remember Reagan. Ray who? George Santos finds unlikely protectors in House Dems. Dozens of House Democrats sent shockwaves throughout Congress by voting Wednesday night yesterday by voting against a measure to expel George Santos from Congress. That's right. Oh man, never underestimate the Democratic Party's ability to find a winnable solution and manage to fumble this. Never underestimate the Democratic Party's ability to find a perfectly winnable solution and still make the wrong choice. Phenomenal stuff. Dems rarely miss an opportunity to miss an opportunity. Exactly. Like, it is actually more shocking that they united to oust McCarthy, because that was like objectively the right thing to do in terms of like showing just how much of a circus the Republican Party was. So absolutely that was the right thing to do. It was more shocking that they actually united and did the right thing for once. But the Democrats expressed concerns about precedent of expelling a colleague who has not been criminally convicted or subject to a complete ethics committee process, even one as hated as Santos. But didn't the ethics committee say they have a ton of evidence, as we just watched? And second of all, I don't think that you necessarily need to be criminally convicted to be removed from Congress. Also, do you think that the Republican Party is going to offer you the same credence? And do you think that if the situation was reversed, do you honestly think that the Republican Party is going to sit down and say, like, well, have concerns. Um, we have concerns about the precedent of expelling a Democrat who has not been criminally convicted, or even subject to an ethics committee. So we're gonna vote against that, and we're gonna save this Democrat seat. Do you honestly believe that the Republican Party is going to extend that same level of charity? No. But McCarthy worked with Biden on budget. I don't care. Okay. I genuinely don't care. My point being is that the Democratic Party should have absolutely voted to expel this guy to lessen the power of the Republican Party by one, which, as Farron pointed out, makes a difference. Like they had a perfect opportunity to screw them really hard, and they went back to their, oh well, we must protect like the institution and the way the procedure. Yeah, whatever, dude. You think that the Republican Party is going to extend you that same give you that same credence? No, they won't. Santos faces 2 federal indictments and a likely re-election loss if he manages to stay in Congress through 2024. The resolution forced to a vote by Santos's fellow New York Republican freshman, and like this isn't even this wasn't even something that the Democrats started. Their own Republican Party started this resolution. Santos, if that's his real name, well, yeah, I mean, well, we're gonna have to go with that. Yeah, it's his real name. Should have been suspended from the U.S. House job. No, he should have been removed. He should have been expelled. That's my point. He should have been expelled, and the Democratic Party saved him. Unless they want to be in the minority to fascism. But how is that a good thing? Like, why would you want to be in that position? Why would you want to be in that position? The resolution forced to a vote by Santos's New York Republican freshman failed 179 to 213, with 31 Democrats joining most Republicans in voting against it. The resolution would have failed even if all Democrats had voted for it. Just 24 Republicans voted for it, far short of the roughly 75 GOP votes that would have been needed for the necessary 2/3 majority. Most of the Democrats who voted against the measure were, like the Republicans who voted for it, moderates, swing district members. The Democratic breakaway flummoxed lawmakers on both sides of the aisles, especially since most Democrats voted for their own party's resolution to expel Santos in May. What's gotten better since they made the motion to expel, said Representative Mark Molinero. What's the innocence he has achieved since they chastised us for not acting months ago? Yeah, that's actually a very good point. Like, a lot of these, like, Democrats have been, like, calling for the resignation or the expulsion of George Santos, and when given the opportunity, they just nowhere to be found. In fact, they helped him. The mass defection makes no sense at all, said a senior House Democrat. I would have never expected. I would have never expected that. Yeah. Okay. Another senior House Democrat had a single word to sum up the situation: amazing. I guess that's one word to use. Several progressives voted against the resolution, including Representatives McGarvey, I don't know who that is, Lofgren, Jamie Raskin, a progressive, Gwen Moore, Rashida Tlaib, that's a shame, and Mark Takano. So did Representative Rob Menendez, whose father, Bob Menendez, has resisted calls from his own party to step down over his own federal indictments. Democratic leadership, which whipped against the resolution to censure Tlaib, did not recommend a vote in either direction on the Santos measure. Quote, I'm a Constitution guy, said Raskin, a constitutional law professor who serves as ranking member of the House Oversight Committee, said of his vote in a statement to Axios. If and when Santos is convicted of these serious criminal offenses or ethics charges, I will certainly vote to expel. Until then, it's a very risky road to go down, and we have to stick by due process and the rule of law, as obvious as the eventual result may seem. Okay, but again, the point being is to send a message, because the Republican Party is not going to extend you this charity. The Republican Party is not going to reciprocate this. Again, this is ludicrous to think that they are going to give you that same treatment. Do you honestly believe that if this was a Democratic lawmaker, a Democratic representative, do you think that the Republicans are going to be like, yeah, if and when this representative is convicted of these serious criminal offenses, I will certainly vote to expel. Until then, it's a very risky road, and we have to stick by due process. Do you think that the Republicans are going to extend that same charity? No, they won't. They'll absolutely vote to expel you, given the opportunity. So if I'm in politics, I have to be found guilty of 5 indictments or still keep my government job? No, I think you can be expelled regardless. If you don't belong in Congress, you should be removed, right? One second, folks. Look at the Al Franken and the things that happened there. Yep. Welcome, Makaresta Dragon. Yeah, the point being is, the Republican Party is not going to extend that same charitability. So why, when given the opportunity to at least try to get an upper hand, why wouldn't you use that? That's wild to me. Extend that same courtesy. Exactly. Exactly. So the point being is that this is a fail. This is an L on the 31 Dems who decided that they were going to attempt to help him. Poor strategy. Right, then they go surprise Pikachu face when and they cry about how, like, oh, the Republicans, they don't respect whatever. Like, yeah, dude, they don't. So what are you going to do about it? Backdoor deals? I don't know what that means in this context. Raskin's counterpart atop the Oversight Committee, Chair James Comer, which is a Republican, voted to expel Santos. Phenomenal. Representative Henry Cuellar, one of the most moderate Democrats, sure, whatever, offered the same reasoning as Raskin and noted to Axios, and the Ethics Committee has indicated that they will have something soon. They didn't just say they had something soon. They said they had a mountain of evidence, which is like, I mean, it seems to me like the Republican Party saw the writing on the wall and wanted to get rid of this guy, and somehow they managed to get help from the Democratic Party. Granted, granted, even if all Dems united, the resolution might have still failed. However, it is the Democratic Party's job to fight hard against the Republican Party, period, at every possible turn. We could look at the U.S. House speakership example of MAGA backdoor deals. I don't know what that means. Are you saying that George Santos made, like, Republican, made deals behind the scenes with the Democrats? The Ethics Committee said Tuesday they will announce their next course of action on the panel's investigation by November 17. Representative De Esposito, who introduced the resolution to expel Santos, said in a statement he's confident the panel will outline what New Yorkers already know, that George Santos is a fraud unworthy of serving in public office. No, not with them, Santos. I don't know what backdoor deals were involved here. The Republicans wanted to expel him. And like I will criticize like these more like lib accounts for actually agreeing with this. I was miffed about 31 Dems voting to not expel Santos, but then I saw Raskin's statement on why he voted not to expel, and it totally made sense to me. Yeah, okay, in a normal world, under normal circumstances, it would make sense, but this isn't. We're not in normal times. We're not in normal times, and the Republican Party absolutely presents a existential threat. At any point, at any turn that you are able to at least try to nerf or to cut them off from power, you should be doing that. That is the Democratic Party's job. But McCarthy lost his job quicker than Santos. McCarthy is still a representative. McCarthy is still a representative. I'm not sure what the speakership has to do with this. My point being is that at any point, at any turn that you have the ability to undermine the Republican Party, your job is to do that. Bipartisanship, yeah. Bipartisanship effort to maintain their slim Republican majority. Yeah, Pelosi, we need a strong GOP. Yeah, I guess those words still echo. I guess those words still echo true. Hypocrisy or leniency with Trump and Santos keep committing crimes. Yeah, well, there should be there should be no leniency shown. Um, Absolutely. If you have the ability to attempt to lower the GOP's majority, then you should be doing that. So yeah, I don't agree with this Omega Lib account because I know I've seen this account before. I don't agree with this at all. It makes zero sense. So this article came a couple of months ago. I think it's worth talking about. Remember, Clarence Thomas, it's a joke that Congress and SCOTUS are terrible now. Well, they've been terrible for a very long time. They're not just terrible now, they've been terrible for a very long time. So is the Senate, by the way. They're not excused. Trump is now described, this is, by the way, a few months ago, some type of new avatar for the spirit of 1776 founding fathers for the 21st century, a defender of liberty and freedom against tyranny. So, yeah, the complete opposite. To that point in fundraising emails and other communications, Trump is proclaiming that he's waging a great battle against the so-called deep state, Joe Biden and the Democrats and their corrupt administration. So this was after July 4th, I imagine. Not going to read all that gibberish. Trump is especially proud that Tucker Carlson, a neo-fascist and fake right-wing populist. Well, no, he's a real right-wing faux populist, if that makes sense. Okay. Reportedly anointed him as one of the most important leaders in American history, a type of George Washington or Abraham Lincoln. In a recent fundraising email, Trump crowed that yada yada yada. I'm not reading this gibberish. Trump literally wraps himself in the American flag. For all intents and purposes, he's also carrying a big white Christian cross, as in his role as MAGA Jesus martyr. True. Although he has not set the cross on fire yet, his MAGA cultists have repeatedly demonstrated that they most certainly believe that he is the great savior and the great, if not the greatest, American president and patriot. Unironically, that's exactly what they think. There are, in fact, connections between Trump and America's war for independence from the British. Contrary to Trump's fantasies, he's more like a tyrant and demagogue King George III than America's founding fathers and other heroes. That's not the words that I would choose, but yeah. Anyways, to wit, Donald Trump is promising or threatening to implement what he is describing as Agenda 47 when he takes back the White House in 2024. Agenda 47 would consist to end an end to birthright citizenship, further criminalizing trans people and the LGBTQ plus community, and more broadly expanding the thought crime and censorship laws to end the teaching of critical race theory, whatever that means, and defeat the woke mob and Black Lives Matter, attacking academic freedom and replacing it with patriot education. You know, this sounds similar. I think we actually did kind of go through this. I feel like we've went through this, but I'm not sure. I kind of vaguely remember something to this effect. Trump said on his videos that if Trump wins, he will rebrand the United States of America as MAGA Americans, defeating Dems. Implementing a national stop and frisk law, which is pretty disturbing. Ali with the 12 biddies, thank you so much. Pardoning the January 6th domestic terrorists or insurrectionists, putting homeless people in camps, which he has said, or some other designated area under threat of arrest, building high-tech freedom cities, quote, question mark? I don't know what that means. Ending the professional civil service and replacing it with right-wing political appointees and others such as partisan agents, gutting the Department of Justice and other parts of the government that oppose Trump's attack on democracy and the rule of law, executing drug dealers, which he has said that he would do, starting a trade war with China, which he also said that he would do, and making peace with Putin by withdrawing support from the Ukrainian people and their freedom struggle. In many ways, Agenda 47 is a continuation of the fascist and other authoritarian policies Trump put in place during his first regime, but now made even more extreme and cruel. For the most part, the Washington Post being a notable exception, the American mainstream media and political class have responded to Agenda 47 and its earlier iterations with a combination of laughs, mocking, schadenfreude, and indifference. And of course, there's the obvious jokes about the Jetson cartoons with its flying cars and futuristic cities. For people who claim to care about gun rights and government overreach, they seem to love the most intrusive gun control law. Stop and frisk. Right, because, yeah, I mean, like, these people literally have no principles. They don't believe in anything. You're absolutely correct. They actually don't believe in anything because when, like, actually, when push comes to shove, you know, the more recent kerfuffle, which I remember a couple of months ago, or maybe, it wasn't too long ago, where there was a whole discourse online whether or not, trans people, should have, guns. And all of a sudden, these Second Amendment, gun rights, homosexuals, came out of the woodwork and said, well, I don't know about that. Okay? A lot of them did. So yeah, they don't believe in the Second Amendment or their perceived iteration of what the Second Amendment means. They actually don't believe in that. That's not a principle that they actually hold. The gun nuts don't want guns for people that they fear or hate. True. So yeah, that's true. So fundamentally, they actually don't believe in their sacred Second Amendment or the perception of what that means. They actually don't believe in that. That's not a principle that they hold. Their bigotry supersedes any of that. You're correct. Their bigotry supersedes any perceived principles that they claim to hold. Temporarily embarrassed warlords. They're just concentration camp guards in waiting. Yep. Heat with the 13 biddies. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. They want only one party. Yeah, right. The Republican Party. Correct. The Republican Party with Trump signing it and Marjorie Taylor Greene preaching how wonderful the U.S. is if they win. If they win the election. I mean, it's quite possible that they'll try. So that's enough for me, if that makes sense. So yeah, like fundamentally, when push comes to shove, the bigotry supersedes any principles that they claim to have. Anyways, but nothing about Agenda 47 is childish, innocent, or funny. Fascism in its various forms is a revolution. Yeah, like we're literally committing the same exact. This is why it's so frustrating when like the Democratic Party is nowhere to be found in crucial moments where we can crucial moments where at the very least you should be doing everything that you can to undermine the power of the Republican Party at any corner that you can. You that's what you're supposed to be doing. So when you read about things like this, you can gather why it is so infuriating to watch the Democratic Party behave in the way it does. When you have the opportunity to at least try to expel this motherfucker away from Congress, because like he absolutely deserves it. First of all, he absolutely deserves it. It's not coming out of nowhere. It's not because he's a Republican. But you should be doing whatever moves necessary to undermine their power. And if this dude is out there being a corrupt, POS, and you are given the opportunity to expel this guy, why aren't you doing it? Lying about what they believe is just a means to an end. True. But that would hurt the feelings of highly emotional, sensitive white people. Can't have that. And they ask us why we aren't fired up for the Dems. You're not frying for Biden? Not really. I'm just listen. I'm just frying fascism, okay? That's the only thing I'm trying to do. I'm biding my time with Biden. Fascism in its various forms is a revolutionary project that draws inspiration from a fictive past and golden age in order to destroy the current order and place some type of ideal society based on authoritarian leaders and movements. Trump's Agenda 47 fits that model almost perfectly. I asked Paul Mason, who's the author of the book How to Stop Fascism, History, Ideology, and Resistance, for his thoughts on about Trump 47, Agenda 47, and how the mainstream new media and political class failure to take it seriously. Via email, he warned, quote, "The difference between Agenda 47 and the original Trump pitch in 2016 is its total lack of focus on corporate capitalist goals and its total focus on fulfilling right-wing populist fantasies." There's no... It's just faux populism. Anyways, Dud City building projects in the desert, the expulsion of homeless people to tent cities, the pardon of fascist insurrectionaries, and the year-long fun fair. It's like politics designed around video game fantasies. The good news is that it's a signal of how detached Trump is, even from a libertarian-turned-fascist wing of the American tech elite. It lacks any sense of realism about the agenda they want: massive deregulation and marketization of public services. The bad news is that it could work. Like QAnon, this collection of fantasies will take a life on its own and is intended to. You can design your own state fair, state by state, with the Gadsden flag and AR-15 firing ranges. You can fantasize about which particular homeless street you would hose down first the day after inauguration. What matters is the serious GOP politicians push back and explain gently to the American people that this is baby talk and what stands behind it. Should Trump succeed, is the intended collapse of American power and status of the world. I mean, I think we're doing a fine job of that by ourselves, but yeah. The imaginary cities are more than just Jetson fantasies. They will be read quite openly as white only, and on federal land they will be designated to abrogate the rights of homeless people. There is a stop to the fantasies of the seasteaders and the preppers. Like all fascist myths, they are designed to animate action in the present rather than actually get built. Just like Hitler's never built the Germania model, was something to clear slums for and remove populations long before they actually ever planned to build it. I also asked Jared Saxton, who is the author of the book A Midnight Kingdom, A History of Power, Paranoia, and the Coming Crisis, for his thoughts and concerns about Trump's 47 agenda. Welcome, the horseradish. Welcome. Thank you so much for the raid. I appreciate it. Welcome. Welcome. That might cut the taste, the horseradish. Welcome, folks. If you don't know who I am a Difficult Truth. I do the news. I do the politics. I'm here Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern time. If you enjoy your stay, don't forget to hit the follow button. It really does help us out. Thank you. Thank you. The horseradish. I identify as a MAGA commie. Do you? There's no such thing. So that's just if that's a joke. Yeah, there's no such thing as a MAGA communist. They're just fascist. They're just fascist. Okay, there's no such thing. We are a diverse group. Fair warning. I already follow. Awesome. All right. The entity of what Donald Trump offers, or rather the cronies around him who handled this ideology and focus of his disgusting campaigns, is a reheated version of prior fascist and authoritarian movements. Promises to clean up the mess in government while using new technologies to deliver the future and power wash culture. We've seen this before and we'll see it again whenever demagogues understand an opening that prioritizes cruelty and meaningless hope. They are quick to fill the void. The voice. Yeah, but how did we get here? How did we get here? This didn't just happen, magically. This was this was decades of failure. Trump does use a lot of right hand magic to manipulate his fans. I mean, yeah, he's a demagogue, a liar. Yeah, no surprise there. They're quick to fill the voice, and people around Trump understand it is a perfect environment to unleash their wildest and most violent dreams. Why have the mainstream media, news, commentary, pundits, and responsible political class failed for the most part to correctly assess and respond to Trump's fascist authoritarian Agenda 47 and the Trumpocene and American neo-fascism more generally? Beyond moral cowardice, careerism, and both-sidism, and centrism, and financial concerns, I think there's some truth to all of this. We already have 4 years of Stephen Miller's fever dreams. Yeah, well, there's a chance. There is a chance that Trump returns in 2024. And I think that if that does end up happening, it's probably going to be worse than the first 4 years around. Not good, not great. Beyond moral cowardice, careerism, both-sidism, centrism, I mean, same. So this is the same. And financial concerns, many people in the mainstream news media and the Fourth Estate are uncomfortable with big ideas about society and politics. By training and intellectual orientation, they tend towards incrementalism and serving power in existing regimes of knowledge of truth. The mainstream media, the Fourth Estate, and larger political class are also limited in their ability to understand the real origins and dimensions of America's democracy crisis because of slavish commitments to folk theories of democracy and normal politics, where both the Republicans and Democratic Party The Republican and Democratic Party and their voters are imagined as being reasonable and decent people who are equally committed to democracy and the civic health and survival of the nation. That is no longer true today. That is no longer true. Today's Republican Party and larger conservative movement and white right view multiracial pluralistic democracy, the rule of law, constitutional order, and its governing institutions are illegitimate and corrupt. They are to be torn down and replaced with a system of competitive authoritarianism and white Christian havoc, tyranny of the minority, where Republican fascists and larger right-wing rule for all time and by any means necessary, including violence. This is what I'm talking about when I mean, like, the Republican Party will not reciprocate. The Republican Party will not reciprocate the same thought process of like, oh well, we have to respect the institution and precedent, and we have to do everything. They don't care about any of that. They don't care about any of that. I believe Trump is the Antichrist. The way he manipulates Christians is crazy. No, they were already there. He was just the perfect conduit. They were already there. I promise you. Okay, these people didn't come out of nowhere. Trump didn't create them. They were already there. He just provided he's just a conduit, a vehicle. They were all these people, including the Christian Dominionists, were already here. They just found their vehicle to come out of the woodwork. That's it. To that point, James Scaminacci, who's a sociologist and a retired intelligence analyst, briefed me via email on the escalating danger embodied by Trump and his MAGA movement. It's just the Republican Party. Trump is the most dangerous politician in America, perhaps even more dangerous than the treasonous, seditious original Confederates seceded from the Union. Trump has pursued a fourth-generation warfare strategy to delegitimize the federal government, especially but not limited to those with the real power to detect, investigate, and prosecute him for federal crimes up to treason. The FBI, DOJ, NSA, CIA, and DOD. His objective, if he becomes the 47th president, is to completely gut these institutions, what the revolutionary MAGA called the, quote, deep state. He will eviscerate the accepted civil service and completely destroy the rule of law, transparency in government, and efficient bureaucratic institutions. For all intents and purposes, democracy will be over and the peace and security of the Europe and Asian Pacific region jeopardized for hundreds of millions of people for generations. You have destroyed everything in our ancestors, including the greatest generation, key accomplishments of fostering European and Asian Pacific stability, prosperity, and peace. Whew. Yeah, I don't know. However, I will say this. It doesn't matter if it's not Trump, by the way. It is very clear that even if Trump ends up failing this time around, and he just doesn't run anymore, he just, decides that politics, life as a political figure is enough for him. The next Republican nominee or potential president also has this agenda. It's not limited to Trump. If Trump goes away, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Right, the 2025 project doesn't name Trump specifically. It names whoever the Republican nominee is, and if they lose this election, if Trump loses this election, they will just try again next time. It doesn't matter. Trump is seen as a god to his fans. In fact, his Q movement praying a Lucifer praying source. I mean, it's a cult, so I don't know what to tell you. Okay? At its core, fascism is a movement and political project that is based on big ideas, a grand vision, and passionate emotions. To not understand those dimensions of fascism mean that one is unable to defeat it. Because of that fact, we the Americans are in big trouble and our leaders have failed us. You mean the Republican Party? I mean the Democratic Party, is not equipped to deal with this. The Democratic Party is not equipped to deal with this. Is basically what I'm gathering. It's a very convoluted and tightrope to walk, much intellectual disconnect from family with these people. Yep. Christians who actually follow the teachings of Christ are largely sickened by Trump. There's just not a whole lot of them around. How do you feel when CNN was fear-mongering regarding Bernie Sanders in 2016? Fear-mongering? Anyways, yeah, I mean, like, we know. I think that this has been talked about ad nauseum. We know that, we know that, Bernie Sanders was shafted. We know Bernie Sanders was shafted. So, I mean, we've had this discussion over and over and over again. 2016. Yeah, we know. The whole socialism will end the world stuff. Yeah, Bernie Sanders is the harbinger. Bernie Sanders is the harbinger of socialism. This will be the third election without a real Democratic primary. Well, no, we had a Democratic primary with debates and all that, like, just, understanding, like, the whole conversation about all the shenanigans that happened and whatever and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, there's still like primaries that happen. Whether or not they are run in a proper way is a whole other story. What the DNC did to Bernie was crazy. Yeah, we know. They just manipulated to pick the candidate that they wanted. Yeah. Yep. But if anyone remotely left does bad, you have to leave the left while we random chatter willingly accepts every fault that aligns with his politics. Wait, what? Democratic primaries are not democratic. Superdelegates prove that. True. All animals are created equal and some are more equal than others. Animal Farm. I should probably read. It's not a quote, that's for sure. Well, it's a quote not from the person himself. Not from Orwell himself. It's a quote from the book. I agree. Trump is a master of manipulation. Yes. So wait, were you the same person that said you're a MAGA communist? Explain that one. So how do we square that circle? Actual history is much better than an allegory about a place he never visited. That's true. I never said I like Trump. But why would you adopt an ideology that's backed by his movement? This makes no sense. Huxley was correct about pills. Never read. I'm gonna be honest. I never read a Brave New World or any of his works. Yeah, that's like saying I'm a Nazi, but Hitler's a jerk. True. The only thing I've read about Huxley is Doors of Perception. Brave New World and Soma Abuse worse than liquor and books. Yeah, I've never read either of these. If the doors of perception are cleansed, all would appear to man as it is, infinite. Well, it's a catchphrase. MAGA commie is just Marxism-Leninism. No, it's not. Those are completely different words that mean two completely different things. Anyways. There's no such thing as a MAGA communist. You just end up being a reactionary. You just end up being a fascist. Shifting gears really quickly, former Memphis police officer accused in death of Tyre Nichols pleads guilty. One of the 5 former police officers accused in the January death of Tyre Nichols pleaded guilty. You mean January murder? The word you're looking at is the word you're looking for is murder. In the January murder of Tyre Nichols, pleaded guilty Thursday to federal charges and agreed to plead guilty to related state charges as part of a plea deal. Desmond Mills pleaded guilty to 2 of the 4 federal charges he was facing, according to U.S. Attorney Office for the Western District of Tennessee. He also agreed to plead guilty in state court at an upcoming hearing on charges related to Nichols' murder, according to Shelby County District Attorney. Like, I don't understand what the framing is here. It's murder, okay? Garbage framing. As part of the agreement, he'll be called to testify against the other defendants. According to prosecutors, he has also agreed to fully cooperate in the federal civil rights investigation into patterns and practices of the Memphis Police Department. Mills agreed to have both his state and federal cases resolved in exchange for his cooperation in the case of his 4 ex-officers, Tadarius Bean, Justin Smith, Emmett Martin III, and Demetrius Haley. They all have pleaded not guilty. Shelby County District Attorney Steve Mulroy said in a news conference that state and federal prosecutors will recommend to a judge that Mills serve 15 years in prison, though the decision is ultimately up to the judge. Mulroy said prosecutors consulted with Nichols' family and their legal counsel and that they are fully in support of the deal. His cooperation will help us bring to justice all those criminally responsible while also identifying needs for systemic reform within the police department. Mulroy said in a statement, the plea today ratifies that this is the start of the family getting full justice, said Brent Crump, the attorney for Nichols' family. The hearing came about 10 months after Nichols, a 29-year-old black man, was violently beaten and killed and murdered by the Memphis police officers and died in the hospital from his injuries. Hey, nope, come back. The interaction began when members of the police department's specialized Scorpion team conducted a traffic stop for suspected reckless driving, which never happened. We've seen the video. They released the CCTV video. He was not driving erratic or recklessly. It was bullshit. It was bullshit. This was never a thing that happened. For suspected recklessness, driving on Nichols, who fled the scene on foot, the officers ran after and caught up to Nichols, repeatedly punched and kicked him while he was already restrained, and then left him slumped against a car for critical minutes. The video of the incident shows. The beating and Nichols' ensuing murder led to protests and vigils in Memphis and other major U.S. cities, reigniting the contentious debate over policing and the ways that law enforcement treat black people. Like, there's no contentious debate here. I think I think it's pretty clear, right? That's a weird, that's a weird way of putting it, but okay. Potential erratic driving. He could have started driving erratically at an yeah, it was perceived. It's like the way they use allegedly, right? That's what that means. It's the same like use of allegedly. What they mean is it's that's the bullshit excuse that the cops put down, that, oh, well, he was driving recklessly or whatever, so we have to stop him. That was the excuse that they gave, but it was bullshit. That they say potentially because he was never actually charged or given a ticket for any of that. Like, there was no evidence that this actually happened. That was just the BS excuse that the cops used. After an internal investigation, Memphis police identified and fired 5 officers involved in a traffic stop due to their violation of multiple police department policies, including failing in their excess use of force, duty to intervene, and duty to render aid. The city of Memphis released a body camera and surveillance video of the traffic stop and police confrontation that showed the officer repeatedly beating Nichols to death without provocation. The video also undermined key parts of the police version of events, which, wow, surprise, surprise, they freaking lied. Wow. Yeah, I mean, this is like a tale as old as time, right? Wow, another story where the police lied and attempted to manipulate reality in their reports because, and this is a true quote that's been said, we write the report. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Surprise, surprise. According to a statement of facts included in the plea agreement, Mills arrived at the scene and chased after Nichols, deployed his pepper spray, and hit Nichols with a baton repeatedly. Jesus. So, for context, the baton is a little steel, like, retractable stick. Okay? That's what that is. I don't know if you've ever seen a police baton, but that is, that's more scary than, like, their freaking, that's more scary than their pepper spray, and, I almost want to say more scarier than their rubber bullets, but some are made of very dense wood. That's true, but I don't think that this was the case for these guys. They all, like, most of them have like that retractable like steel thing. Man, that is scary. Personally, in my opinion, I'd be more scared of those steel batons than I would be of their, like, pepper spray. But yeah, that's yeah, it's pretty rough. After he failed to render aid to Nichols or tell paramedics about the beating, falsely told his supervisor that they had done everything by the book. They didn't, and filed a false and misleading account of the force used in the police report. The 5 officers were charged in the Tennessee State Court with counts of murder, assault, and kidnapping related to his murder. Again, like, bro, he didn't just die, okay? Like, he didn't get sick and just died. There are people currently facing murder charges. Getting even a tiny amount of pepper spray is pretty intense. I don't recommend it. I agree. I agree. It's not good. It's not great. It's not fun. In addition, the officers were charged in September in a federal indictment with 4 criminal counts, including civil rights, conspiracy, and obstruction offense resulting in Nichols' murder. In Nichols' death, 2 of the counts carried a maximum penalty of life in prison. The indictment accused the officers of using unreasonable force, failing to render medical aid, conspiring to cover up their unlawful use of force, and intentionally providing false and misleading information in the arrest report. Mills initially pleaded not guilty to the federal charges and were released on bond. A jury trial was set for May 2024. Don't wear contacts when pepper spray or mace is in use. Yeah. Yeah, it's a bad deal. Even being like, even being enough downwind, from like tear gas is, without any type of protection is, you'll still catch some of it. So we got updates from Beavis and Butthead, I guess. Trump's sons distance themselves from financial statements in the New York fraud trial testimony. Tear gas is chemical warfare. Yeah, it's not actually, you can't do that in regular warfare, but for some reason, I guess it's okay to use against civilians, apparently. Like, you can't use that shit in war, but apparently when you use it to, get civilians, under control, I guess that's okay. In back-to-back testimonies on Thursday, today, former President Trump's two adult sons, Beavis and Butthead, distanced themselves from the Trump Organization financial statements key to the New York Attorney General's case against the family business. Both Don Jr. and Eric Trump denied any involvement in their father's financial statements, suggesting either they relied on accountants and other experts to make sure that the numbers were correct. Which accountants? Because I'm sure that that's going to be the next step. The Trumps remind me of the three Spider-Mans pointing at each other. Yeah, on your own citizens, that's okay. That's fine. The Trump Organization Statement of Financial Condition, which detailed the value of its various assets, were sent to banks and insurers to secure loans and deals, which are at the heart of the Attorney General's lawsuit, which claims that the Trump Organization falsely inflated and deflated the value of its assets to receive lower taxes and better insurance coverage. Wow, surprise, surprise. The eldest son testified, Trump Jr. testified on Wednesday that he signed off on his father's financial statements as an executive vice president of the Trump Organization and trustee of the trust that held Trump's assets while he was president. However, he said he counted on the work of accountants and executives like then Chief Financial Officer Alan Weisselberg to be correct. As a trustee, I have an obligation to listen to those who are experts, who have expertise on these things, he said to the which the AP reported. Eric Trump, the former president's second son, also denied involvement, testifying that he has never had anything to do with the statement of financial condition. But the state lawyer, Andrew Amar, later pointed to a 2013 email Eric Trump received from another company executive asking for the information needed to fill out Trump's financial statements. So you did know about your father's annual financial statement as of August 2013? It appears that way, he said. Oh, Jesus Christ. Trump's legal team has so far attempted to shift the blame from the statement skewed numbers from the former president and his family onto accountants who calculated them. Ex-Trump accountant Donald Bender testified under cross-examination for nearly a full week at the start of the trial, where Trump's lawyer sought to portray him as negligent. Okay. During an argument, he hires the best people. Remember? During an argument over questions, Trump's lawyers were asking Bender during the trial's first week. Judge Engron said the accountant is not on trial here. I would disagree with that, said Trump's attorney. His thoroughness that he got paid millions a year to do. He was a certified public accountant. He has certain responsibilities. He seems to recall only what the government wants him to recall. He said, we need to be allowed to parse the evidence. You're not allowed to waste time, Engron replied. That's what this is becoming. Holy crap. That's pretty funny. Before the trial even began, Engron found that Trump, the Trump Organization, and Trump's son were liable for fraud after ruling that the New York Attorney General office has proved the crux of its case. The decision stripped some of Trump's business licenses and put at risk some of his famed properties, though an appeals court has halted the cancellation of business license until after it hears his case. The trial will determine how much money the defendant owes as a penalty and could establish whether any one defendant was more to blame than the other for the fraud. On Wednesday, yesterday, an expert witness hired by the New York Attorney General's office testified that the Trump Organization's ballooned financial statements may have cost the banks more than $168 million in interest. Hey. Okay. New York Attorney General Letitia James has asked for $250 million in penalties and a ban on Trump and his children serving as officers or directors of New York companies. Trump is expected to testify in the sprawling fraud case next week. Letitia Peekaboo James. Fred and Donald are warped landlords. I'm shocked. So they'll go to the West Coast. Maybe. I'm wondering if they have, if this all goes down, I'm wondering if they'll have anything to even do that. To even set up shop anywhere else. Biden is trying to a new path to student loan forgiveness. Here's who could benefit. The Biden administration is making another attempt to create a new student loan forgiveness program and release some details on Monday about the types of borrowers that were being considered for eligibility. The administration is in very early stages of developing the new program. A finalized proposal isn't expected after 2020 until 2024, and the student debt relief effort could still face legal challenges. President Biden's first student loan forgiveness proposal, which promised up to $20,000 in debt relief for low and middle income borrowers, was struck down by the Supreme Court in late June. Which, yeah, the $20,000 was just the Pell Grants. After the defeat, Biden vowed to pursue a different path to delivering student loan forgiveness based on a different law, the Higher Education Act. The new pathway requires the Department of Education to undertake a formal rulemaking process known as negotiated rulemaking, which typically takes months. A committee of outside negotiators, including borrowers, schools, and student loan service representatives, is tasked with meeting several times during October, November, and December to discuss the proposal and provide input on regulatory language. The public also has an opportunity to weigh in. A draft rule is expected to be released next year. A new student loan forgiveness program is unlikely to benefit the same borrowers that the initial program would have. The Department of Education said Monday that 4 groups of borrowers are being considered for eligibility, including those who currently have balances bigger than they originally borrowed, enter repayment for at least 25 years ago, attended career training programs that created unreasonable debt loads or provided insufficient earnings for graduate or that have an unacceptably high student loan default rate, are eligible for existing student loan forgiveness programs but have not applied. The Department of Education also released a paper on Monday aiming to guide the negotiators' November discussion towards including borrowers who are experiencing financial hardships that the current federal student loan system does not adequately address. That's literally everybody, okay? You could argue that that's literally everybody. Trump Jr. said he couldn't recall having to use the GAAP standards in his work. He got a laugh out of the state lawyer when he said he'd learned about them probably in Accounting 101 at Wharton, but didn't remember much other than they were generally accepted. House passes $14 billion in Israel aid with costly cuts to the IRS. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Again, for the supposed party of fiscal responsibility, adding 20-something $6 billion to the deficit is yeah. Biden said he would veto the House bill if it made it to the Oval Office. Administrative officials Thursday argued that linking Israel fund with money for Ukraine defense against China and U.S.-Mexico border security was crucial to U.S. interests. Is it though? Meant to send that for the last story? No problem. Gotcha. Is it though? Like, sending $14 billion to Israel, is that an interest? Is that U.S. interest, really? Is the continuation without any guarantees from the Israeli government that they would, stop bombing civilians? Is that really an interest? Is that really of our interest? I don't know. President Biden and I are committed to helping borrowers who have been failed by our country's broken and unaffordable student loan system, said Education Secretary Miguel Cardona in a statement. The Biden administration has already canceled $127 billion in federal student loan debt through existing loan forgiveness programs that target specific categories of borrowers. That's more student loan forgiveness that was granted under any other administration, in part due to the Biden administration's effort to temporarily expand some debt relief programs and to correct past administrative errors made to borrowers' student loan accounts. Among the existing student loan forgiveness programs are the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, which wipes away outstanding student debt for public sector workers who have made 120 qualifying payments, and borrower defense to repayment, which aims to provide debt relief for those defrauded by their college. And the Biden administration tried to implement a new student loan forgiveness program before the years-long pandemic-related pause on repayments ended, but the Supreme Court's decision hindered that timeline. Payments resumed this month for about 20 million borrowers for the first time since March of 2020. Yeah, I mean, like, again, this all could be avoided if we talk about just having a universal healthcare system. That would be just much easier to handle than fighting constantly to get that relief. Now, I mean, like, honestly, there needs to be two things that happen. A debt jubilee, not just student debt, not just student debt, but like a debt jubilee for medical debt and student loan debt, and the movement to have these crucial things as social programs, a universal healthcare system, and a universal college. That's really what needs to happen. And I would add ending for-profit prisons too. I mean, yeah, of course. I'm just talking about like the whole like debt, the whole debt crisis that we're facing. Both of these could have been avoided. Both of these shouldn't even be a thing if we had universal health care and a universal higher education. Donald Trump, who ran the fraudulent Trump University, wants to strip money from actual colleges to start a government-run online university. Is he gonna fund Peterson's Peterson's University? There's a lot of usury for a Christian nation. Again, principles, they don't okay, principles, they don't believe in anything other than power. Presidential candidates have to promise a lot. Yeah, but it's not just like promise like the world. You're going to have to deliver, right? Like you're going to have to deliver on something, or at the very least, attempt to deliver on some things, right? Yeah. Oh, you know what? I think I found what you're talking
A straight
about.
stick.
Whoa!
I wrap it around me this way and come over the top.
I don't play golf. What? Why are you trying to sell me golf sticks?
It's going to have a very familiar name. Now, without giving too much away, Donald Trump put out a very confusing video to his supporters this week where, of course, he attacked Biden, he attacked the investigations against him, and then he announced...
Do you trust him? No, but you know what? I expect Biden to deliver goods, right?
that I guess he's creating a country, and it's a country that's going to have a very familiar name. Now, without giving too much away, I will let Donald Trump speak for himself, and this is the clip, the whole clip, by the way, that he put out on Truth Social, really with no context, just decided to make a video, he put it out, and here it is.
These highly political Biden lawsuits and indictments.
Highly political Biden lawsuits. Biden is still better than Trump. Yeah, but he needs to deliver. It's not enough. It really isn't like enough. Because like as a strategic like, choice, yeah, sure. But like at some point the majority of people aren't going to go with that. The majority of people they're just not going to listen to that argument. If a candidate doesn't deliver, you're not going to motivate people to vote.
Shouldn't be allowed to start until after the election is over. Who would ever think a thing like this would be allowed to start? We actually have one judge that wants the lawsuit to start the day before Super Tuesday. These are corrupt people.
These are corrupt people. Against SCOTUS and GOP that are against Biden and Dems. Yeah, but the Dems have to deliver. They have to show that they're willing to fight. And as we just went over, the story about Dems helping, a Republican, that's not a good look. It's not a good look. Biden is equal to punting. The deal was one term true.
Our founding fathers are looking down at Biden with scorn right now. They're looking down on Biden and this administration with disbelief. We're going to make America great again. We're going to put America first. And we're going to have a great country. It's going to be called the United States of America.
What?
Thank you very much.
It's going to be called the United States of America? My dude. My dude. Okay.
I gotta admit, that's a pretty badass name for a country, right? I mean, why didn't anybody else ever think of that? Like the United States of America. It's got a good ring to it. Hey, we could abbreviate it, Donald, and I'm just spitballing here. United States of America. We could say USA, right? I mean, that's like a cool way to abbreviate it. We don't have to say the full name every time. We just call it USA. Wow. Hey, what we should do, we should come up with some colors for this country that we're going to call the United States of America to. Like, red, it's out there. It's catchy. The red, white, which reflects a little bit of innocence as well. How about some blue? So we got the red and the blue. It's like the Democrats and the Republicans, and the white, I guess, could maybe be the independents. That's a pretty good idea. Now, the problem is, Donald, all of that already exists.
Well, I don't know if the red and the blue symbolize the Republicans and Democrats. I knew Trump would brand the USA out of policies that Dems and independents independent want. Well, I mean, he's trying to at this point just hold on to the followers that he has. The name of the game is to get your people out there to vote. Whereas the other political candidates with over 40% of any vote, well, we wouldn't know that because we wouldn't know that because Biden is running. If that makes sense. U plus S equals US. I just came up with that. Phenomenal. The plan is we would all love Kamala, but it didn't work out, and now they like Biden and his malleability. Well, they don't really have that much of a choice. Or what they could have done is just scrapped it and started an open field. They could have just made a blank slate and led an open field, an open primary. That's basically, if it was true that Biden was going to be a one-term president, then they should have prepared for that. They should have prepared for that and had a open primary, if that makes sense. We might pick someone like Bernie if they left it open. I mean, if he would be willing to run, yeah, that would have been nice. But yeah, it didn't seem like he had it in him to do it again. Or maybe he would have run if it was a more open primary. I don't know. But the DNC does not like Bernie. So if the people like Bernie, if the Democratic base likes Bernie, but the DNC is shafting those voters, why would you support the party then? Do you understand like the problems here? And why that's a problem? If it's the case, if it's the case that Bernie is very popular in the Democratic base, and the DNC decides to shaft candidates like him, or him and candidates like him, then that's a problem. That's a huge problem. So, you know, it's a problem. How are we supposed to, or why would anybody be incentivized to support a party that doesn't support them? I'm all for more choices, but Trump and the GOP cannot win. But we weren't even given the opportunity to have more choices. It was the responsibility of the Democratic Party, if it was true that Joe Biden was supposed to be a one-term president. He was supposed to be a transitory president, right? Why didn't they prepare? Why didn't they prepare and set the stage ready for this election? They had 4 years to do this. The moment Biden declared that he was supposed to be a transitory or a one-term president, you know, to aid in the transition away from the Trump era or whatever, then why didn't at that moment the Democratic Party's responsibility was to prepare and have a stage ready for an open primary geared towards this election to win? Because that argument only works for so long. Like, I understand it. And of course our job is to stop the GOP at every given point, at every given corner. May I join the convo? Hey, congratulations, you're joining the conversation. But the US cannot vote for a woman president. But I said open primary. That means anybody. That means they should have been prepared the moment Biden declared that he was going to be a one-term president. At that point, the Democratic Party's responsibility was to prepare candidates that would be ready to run a general election. That's my point. And they didn't do that. And they didn't do that. So again, if the party is not responding, if the party is not responding to constituents, then why would people show? Then why would those supporters show up to vote for them? The Democrats don't have a backup? No. As far as I know, Biden's the nominee. Unless something dramatic happens, Biden's most likely going to be the nominee. Unless something like drastic happens, Biden is going to be the nominee. I'm not voting Biden in the primary. That's fair. Marianne or the other guy? I mean, that's always that is literally the only choice, right? That's what a primary is for, but I don't see anybody else as a viable candidate, not even Biden. Yeah, I mean, Biden is just basically going to attempt to do the same thing that he did in 2020. However, I don't know if that's gonna fly again. But we'll see. But yeah, like my point is that we don't. We'd never had that opportunity. We don't know. It might well have been the case that we might have had a viable candidate if the Democratic Party had laid the groundwork and preparation years ago. It might have been the case that we would have had a viable candidate to choose. The other new guy is basically younger Biden. Yeah, he's a very milquetoast, moderate Dem. I'm not voting for RFK Jr. Well, no, he's not in the Democratic primary. He's not in the Democratic primary. It's just basically Marianne Williamson, Biden, and younger Biden. I want Trump and MAGA defeated. You mean the Republican Party? Yeah, Dean Phillips. That's right. Dean Phillips. Yeah, but the thing is, like, yes, okay, that's primary directive is to defeat the Republican Party in terms of, I'm only speaking about, like, electoral strategy, the electoral aspect. Yes, obviously, the Republicans have got to go. But my point is that the Democratic Party is floundering a lot, and it's getting harder for people to be more enthusiastic, or it's harder for people to come out and vote for a Democratic Party that has been just like not there. For all intents and purposes, not there for the people. Harris, Porter, and Last Choice Phillips. Yeah, but neither of these are running for president. Neither of those names are running for president. The only people that are on the Democratic ticket right now for primaries are Joe Biden, Marianne Williamson, and younger Joe Biden, Dean Phillips. That's it. Those are the three choices from what I remember. But Phillips cannot get less than 40% of the ballot. No, I don't think he has a serious chance of winning the nomination. My point being is that there are no candidates right now that even have a chance at this point in time. But the Democratic Party had the responsibility to have viable candidates ready and prepared years ago. That's what I'm saying. The Democratic Party had the responsibility to have these candidates ready and prepared years ago when Biden said that he was going to be a one-term president. The Dems are going to miss the boat. Money in politics is number one issue, but they're entrenched in the grift. The GOP is starting to move on that issue, and they're going to be left holding the grift bag. I don't know about that. I think the expectation at the time was that Andrew Cuomo would be the next nominee. Jesus. Oh, man. Like, if that was the plan, that's even worse. If you could imagine that, a Cuomo nomination. How many committees with cash will get candidates to win election after election? Well, no, the presidential election is what they need. Well, is what's mainly coming up. The party can run its own state, its own federal elections when it comes to representatives. That's a completely different ball games. I'm talking about like the candidates for president. The Democratic Party had the responsibility to have these questions answered already, years ago. Bloomberg was the worst candidate ever. I think he's for Democratic candidates. Yeah, he's definitely up there for worst candidates. Bloomberg was getting bad press because he's bad. Bloomberg is horrible. He's just another oligarch. Plus, doesn't he own like a media company? Anyways, the point being is that all of these questions should have been answered. And Perot and Dole were despised also. Anyways, at least here in this election, the here and now, if the Democratic Party loses, it will be on them. It will be on them, and the consequences will have to be received by everybody. Not received, felt. The consequences would be felt by everybody, and it will be their fault. If the Democratic Party loses these elections next year, it'll be completely their fault. and we will have to suffer the consequences. All right, folks. It's time. Everybody meaning the entire world, not just the US. Yeah. Whoa. Heat with the 10 biddies. Thank you so much. That was interesting. Where did my Oh, there you go. Yeah, the notifications. I don't know. I don't know why the I don't know if I like just the plain view, or if I like the main overlay on top of it. I didn't mean to press that notification. I actually have that saved as a way of you know, having a way of like showing the Twitch channel, but that's okay. Anyways, I don't know, I kind of like it like this. Plain. Alright, folks, it's time for me to get some food. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to hit the follow button. It really does help us out. I appreciate it. See? Boom! Follow us on here on Twitch. And if you guys want to help out the channel and go even further beyond, go on over to the YouTube channel, hit the big red subscribe button. It really does help us out. At 248, as 248 of you have already done. Thank you. Thank you for the raids. Thank you to the Horseradish for the raid. Thank you, Heat, for the biddies. I appreciate it. Thank you, Alio, for the biddies. Thank you for the follows, for all the new follows. I appreciate it. Thank you, Sharpie Diesel, for the subscription. Thank you. I appreciate it. You guys are what makes this channel grow. Thank you, guys. As always, folks, also thank you to Michael Hassler. Thank you, Heat, for moderating the chat and keeping it chill. Just a couple of quick shout outs before I go. Thank you to the Horse Radish for the raid. I did see Carpet Packs as well, and Alio as well. Thank you. I appreciate it. Please also go follow these wonderful folks, these wonderful creators there with the little diamond next to their name. I appreciate it. Also, I don't know if you're still planning on doing it, but just in case, also go follow Heat 420. No, not 430. For Heat 420 as well. Perfect. Now that we got all those shout outs, yeah, make sure you go support these wonderful folks. As always, please, thank you. Maybe it will motivate me. There you go. Folks, please stay safe. Oh wait, we got one more dab. We got one dab before we go, okay? Thank you, Jesse James. One more dab before we go, yeah? All right. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. Alvion, I hope to see you guys in the next one, Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. See you. Thanks for the stream. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. Happy weekend. He did it again. Hold on, folks. Hang tight. I'm trying to get this done. Hang tight, folks. All right, we're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See ya. For real this time.